Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Josh, aka Sneaker Dad. This is the 5th episode of Soul to Soul podcast. We have some new faces on the show, and I thought maybe it'd be good to do some introductions. I think you guys, for those of you who don't know who I am the guy who lives vicariously through the people that I have on my show. First and foremost, I'm a dad and a husband, but I love sneakers. My son, who's 15, got me back into them after a long hiatus, but I started getting into Jordans primarily back in the 90s when Michael Jordan was huge, and I played basketball, so I had the 5s and the 6s primarily. So those are like kind of near and dear to my heart in terms of nostalgia. But anyways, I had a brief hiatus, and I'm back, and I love the sneakers. I love the community. So that's kind of my story. How about you?
Well, I'm Ken, Ken. Nickname I have is Eric Kenny, and my Instagram, Twitter, eBay account, it's all KW21270. I grew up in Chicago and with the Bulls winning championships and loved Jordans, always had to have the Jordans. And then got back into it about 10 years ago, and I built up a collecting some rare and limited pairs. Made a lot of friends along the way, like these guys, and just still collect shoes, still get shoes to resell sometimes. And then my love for sneakers has extended to fashion, streetwear, and art, some pop art stuff, so that's it.
I'm Dennis, aka Hypanda. I love
not a high
sneakers.
panda, like
not a high panda, like hype.
Hype panda, not a high panda.
Hype. Hype. And because of that name, so I'm a street artist, but also an avid collector of shoes, an admirer of shoes and fashion, and the art behind it. So it's kind of it's all encompassing as far as what Kenny was saying. It kind of just reaches out from sneakers to fashion to art. So I've been collecting on and off for the past probably decade or so. Of course, for me, my favorite pairs were the 3s. Okay, so cement 3s, which I'm wearing right now, and then the 5s. Those were that was the grail for me back in elementary school. So, but back in the day, prices weren't what they used to be. But yeah, no. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, it's interesting seeing how the shoe collecting and the shoe designs have kind of grown, and also the love for the past, which is kind of the biggest thing for me personally. Is just seeing all the retros coming back, 1s through 5s especially, and seeing the younger generation kind of look at them and say, wow, that's pretty amazing, especially for something that came out in the 80s and 90s. So, yeah.
So I kind of look at it this way. We've got the artist, the collector, and the guy in the middle that's the guy who likes the podcast. I love the community. I think that's the biggest thing for me is I just like the community. But I don't, we got the artist, the collector, and the dad in the middle.
And we're all in Chicago.
And we're all based in Chicago. I think one thing that Soul to Soul can bring value is the fact that we do bring that sort of Midwest or Chicago perspective. I am a big fan of a lot of other sneaker podcasts out there, and I've noticed a lot of them are in Canada or they're in New York or California, and I've never really seen one out there that's in the Midwest. And Chicago is like basically ground zero for a lot of what people are collecting nowadays. I think if it wasn't for Michael Jordan in Chicago, you would not have the type of industry that you see today. So that's one thing I'm hoping to bring here is that kind of perspective. So why don't we jump into the collector's goodies that he brought for us. Ken, why don't you tell us kind of what we got here on this table?
Sure. Yeah, we're always going to try to bring some stuff. Today's topic, end of the year. Josh thought of, let's make this an end of the year recap of things. And So one of my favorite things that I've got really involved in this year is with Murakami and his artwork. And so surrounded by us are some Murakami pillows.
Jealous.
And yeah.
I don't want to. I want to like cuddle them, but I don't want to get them dirty.
I know.
It's kind of, you're teasing me, Ken, with these things.
And then we have the Murakami Vans collab that they did a few years back. There's 3 different colorways. They actually had a different. These are the ones with the flowers on them. They also had the skeletons version too in the same 3 colorways.
Look at the bottom. I like the bottom. The blue.
It's a good.
It's
a
a
nice
great
Yeah.
little like Easter egg at the bottom. Right?
And everything's artistic. I mean, even the box is artistic, which a lot of times people don't pay attention to the box.
If you look at the interior too, it's kind of
Pink on the bottom. That's so awesome.
yeah. Well, I mean, and this is like his signature is this flower.
Exactly.
You got a size 12?
These
they're almost all 12 and 13.
Ooh, you shouldn't have told me that.
They're very hard. I know one person that he's dying to get them, but he won't reach out to me, which is good because I won't give them up. But I want to get 2 of each so I can wear one if I decide to wear one. I haven't really gotten up enough nerve to do that yet. But that's just issues. One of the many issues I have. On the other side of the box, the shoe box, are just the what is this? A champagne, a rosé? What?
Rosé is a wine. It's I don't know what the hell is it. It's like
you can tell we're very refined in our drinking habits.
Rosé is actually one of the big things of 2018. Like rosé got pretty damn big in 2018. So it's not surprising that it's actually rosé.
So this is Virgil's brand, Off-White, and of course, because his label's on it, I had to have it. I have had a bottle. I have tried it when I went to Luis de Guzman's thing at RSVP. They were serving that as like free drinks, So that was gave me the opportunity to actually open up or to have it.
How did you like it?
I liked it. I'm not.
It's like a champagne wine, isn't it?
I don't really wouldn't drink it except for like a special occasion. But
I'm not a rosé guy. I tried it because it was so hyped up. I kept hearing all this stuff about rosé in 2018, and I was like, okay. So I tried it. I don't know. It's not for me. It's not for me. But I'll tell you what. That is pretty dope.
Yeah, no, I think the packaging, the design, it's great. Almost like as a showpiece, it's great to look at.
Oh, of course.
And we're all hype beasts.
Well, yeah, of course. I drank a bottle of Dom, right? I was like, oh, this is the best. Everyone's gonna love this. Yeah. I took a sip of it, and it took me a minute to say, hey, should I try it again? And I said I should because we spent a lot of money on this bottle. So I kept drinking it. It still didn't get any better. I felt better, but it just didn't taste any better. So I was kind of like, really? So this, unless I just don't have a taste for like champagnes and things like that. It's just, but there's some champagne, some of the cheap stuff tastes great.
Right.
Right. But yeah, no, it's a great design, especially with the do not drop on the side. That's
so again, that's really that's the subtle piece of it all, right? You don't really if you don't see that, you don't know that has anything to do with Off-White or Virgil.
Yeah, you're right. I actually noticed that. I thought there was going to be more on the packaging with
True
bottle.
That's the nature of his stuff. The IKEA collab that he's doing has wet grass or something on a green
carpet,
thing.
right? Yeah. The rug.
It just has messages like that. It's simplicity. And things that we all think of
it's clever.
Yeah, it's clever.
It's very clever.
And it's hype. You wanna own something of his, and so you like to get it. So, but anyways, for the New Year's, we have that. We will be drinking that. Each one of us, including Josh's son, will be drinking a bottle.
Finish off the bottle.
Yeah, we got 4, and we got 4 here. Shout out to 3Pete. Make sure you check out his channels on YouTube. We'll get you the links for that. But I don't know what I would do or what we would do in terms of setting up this podcast without his help. We got 4 bottles and 4 dudes, and we're gonna polish these off.
And Happy New Year. Yep.
And my wife will not be watching this. So, anyways, So I figured it's always great for the collector to kind of show off his collection and pieces of it on each episode. I also, as I had mentioned, the fact that we're in Chicago, when we bring like a Chicago flavor, I wanted to move on to the next topic, and that's talking about sort of like what are your favorite places in the city or even outside of the city that if you're going down there, you definitely make a trip. You always are going to this particular spot or different stores.
Right.
So for somebody that maybe is coming to visit, like from the West Coast, the East Coast, or Canada or whatever, and they're like, okay, I'm here. I hear all this stuff. I have no idea where to go, and they end up just going to like the State Street store, and that's it. You know, they don't really get a true taste.
True.
So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think we already talked about this earlier when we were saying where we got shoes and where you can get them. But we have three places that, or two in particular, St. Alfred's and RSVP, right there, right within a block of each other, that both have Nike Tier 1 accounts. So both get the best and hyped up shoes, and both hold raffles for those. One of those places I'm a little bit more successful than the other in terms of winning raffles, but RSVP, just to talk about that for a minute, it's probably one of my favorites locally. They have a place they opened up in the last year in LA, and I've been to that one too. But it's a great place to find everything you want in one place if you like sneakers, hyped up art, fashion, streetwear. It has roots with Virgil having a hand in that ownership of that. Don C, I think, owns it now just entirely himself. I could be wrong there with that, but Don C is really an innovator in terms of fashion. You know, not only on himself, but he's brought up other people as well. And I think a lot of us have seen that video that Kanye embraced Virgil when they did the Paris thing. So they're a real tight family, and they've known each other for years. And so that place is one of my favorite places. The people that work there know their stuff. They know their fashion. Sarah is the lead buyer. She'll be traveling different parts of the country, Paris, Japan. They have Japan products, Bape, and I don't know anywhere else you can get Bape.
Yeah, I know you
in
can.
the area. You know, on a initial, not on a consignment or a resale basis, but on an initial basis. And then so they have the latest Bape. They have Murakami pillows. They have so many designs, ready-made, human-made,
Acne.
Yep. And it's just it's a great place. It costs a lot of money for a lot of those things, but at least if you save up and you want to get something like that, you know, that's the place to go to in Chicago. And then St. Alfred's I quickly talk about, and then I'll let you guys. St. Alfred's, these guys are great guys. They were existing way before I got into the game. And Cappy, this guy named Cappy, has traditions there, and I heard stories of him, and it's really he's a true artist, and he used to work there, I think, and every once in a while you'll see him liking one of their posts and on Instagram, and actually the third place is what my favorite is Notre, up and coming. But I'll stop talking. Go ahead.
No, the other thing I like about RSVP is they do showcase and highlight other artists. I don't know, like Louis de Guzman, and they had like Brockhampton did like a little like signing, and like the fans could meet them and get pictures. Yeah. And they always seem to have those types of events there, so it's definitely up there. My favorite place, I mean, those three are definitely obvious ones for me, but one of my favorite stores is Boneyard. Boneyard is a trip down memory lane. It's a lot of retro 90s clothes. They've just moved into a more, a more refined space. The other one was awesome as well, but I think they had some issues with people breaking in, I think, into the original one. They have awesome clothes as well, like Boneyard's hats and shirts. I think those are awesome.
I saw them just post on Instagram. They're Bears starter.
Yeah, they got those Bears starter jackets.
Yeah,
and they're not really that expensive.
No,
like
they
some of their stuff is, but I don't know, man. Like Boneyard,
No, they have a great mix of stuff, especially if you're looking at nostalgia, and that's kind of like the traveling space for fashion right now. Is that of course it's a bell curve with fashion, so things come back, things go away, and with the '90s, especially with the shoe game, where it's at, I think it's great. Places like I was about to say, but all the places that we've already mentioned, there's nothing else I can really think of. But most of those places all have their different kind of niches as far as like what they specialize in, but they're all unique in their own way. And there's nothing really out here, especially in the Midwest, that is kind of like, well, if it's not here, we can go here instead. It's only at this one boutique, and I call them boutiques because they're, a lot of people, I have family members that travel from the West Coast and East Coast that come and visit, and literally those are the places they want to hit. As soon as they get here, if they're into sneakers and fashion, those are the places they want to hit. The only other store I would probably throw in there is if you're a toy collector, there's a place called Rotofuji or Rotofugai, however you want to say it. That's off of Lincoln in the city, and they sell artwork, a lot of we'll call them designer toys. So if you're into things like Kid Robot, and they do have art gallery shows there as well. So it's a good mix of stuff. I know they had some sneaker inspired toys there at one point a little while ago, and it was from an unknown artist. And that's the cool thing about that space too, is that they bring in unknowns from other countries too, UK artists, things like that. But as long as it kind of fits the pop culture feel to it, then the appeal is completely there. But it's giant. Basically it's a toy store. So it's an adult toy store. I do see a lot of kids shopping there though, but
Well, I wanted to definitely give some attention to a local place near us, Restock Chicago.
Oh yeah.
They just opened up, moved to a bigger space at Woodfield Mall, and they have a lot of all these things we've been mentioning. Success is another place on Michigan Avenue.
They also moved into a new spot.
Did they
recently?
Okay,
a bigger spot.
I haven't been there yet. I definitely want to check them out.
Okay, yeah. VDOT is the head guy there, and he's a great guy. He's a huge Chicago fan. He's always watching out for Chicago. And I had with Complex Con coming here to Chicago in July, I think we're going to see a lot of these players like VDOT. All these RSP, all these places they're gonna shine there. They're gonna have booths there, and we're gonna see a lot of these Chicago places. And then I think Chicago's also lucky, just real quickly, about having some of the best places to get your everyday releases. I mean, we have Nike Chicago. A lot of cities don't have a big Nike Chicago. We have the Adidas. The big one for Adidas, their store is in Wicker Park across from St. Alfred's.
Store.
Yep. And then we also have we have a couple of Flight 23s or Jordan stores. We have the huge one on State Street, and then we have another Flight 23 in Woodfield Mall. So those are great places to get shoes.
Definitely hit up those stores, and maybe we'll provide some links to those stores as well, the websites. And we're not really sponsored by anybody, but we'll
spend money
definitely
there.
give you the links. They're all every store we just mentioned. They're all a bunch of really great guys and great people working there, and so definitely check them out. So, theme of this episode is we're wrapping up 2018. We're moving into 2019. So let's start talking about like the top drops, top cops, most hype stuff of 2018. So what's your top drop, Dennis?
So many. The top drop of this year for me. Yeah, I was just about to say. I was like, can I hold one of the bottles? You might have to come back to me on that one because that's something I had to think about. There was a lot of stuff that came out this year, and I think this year, especially compared to 2017, I've noticed for me, especially on my sneakers app, even on my Adidas app, it's been one of those things where it's been so, I'm not going to use the word flooded, but there was a lot of things that were coming out this year. And a lot of things coming out all on the same day. So it was one of those things where last year it was a little bit easier for me to be like, okay, I want these retros, or I want this pair of Yeezys. And then just to really focus on it. But this year, and this is just for me speaking freely about it, but there was a lot of things that came out. There was a lot,
Just speak to, because you can speak to Off-White. I mean, Off-White.
Yeah, that was
there's so many just to choose from there.
And that's why I was like, well, the Off-Whites were like one of the things that, especially with the retro ones. I mean, those, alone, then I'll say those were for me were the biggest drop for me. Of course, I didn't have any luck getting them, but at the same time, I think those are the ones that I feel personally I was really seeking after amongst so many shoes.
Right.
There's so many shoes that dropped, especially with just Off-White. You had so many Air Maxes, everything else came out, but there was just those that I really thought was the pinnacle of it all this year. So the retro one, Off-Whites, any of them.
Yeah.
So
I like the UNC colorway of the Off-Whites.
Yeah.
It's probably my top drop of the year. My top retro would definitely be the Black Cement 3s. In my opinion, that is
a good one.
I mean, there's the Concords that came out, but in my opinion, the Black Cement 3s are untouchable in terms of a retro.
I will completely agree with you on that.
So there you go. But I mean, Off-White definitely. This was the year of Off-White. There's just no questioning that, But if I had to pick one colorway and say this is my top drop, I would definitely say the UNCs.
I want to give a little shout out to the Weatherspoons. That was
that's true.
That was just a special shoe color, and I was happy to get that both in my size and the baby size. It's one of my favorite babies. Shoes is the Weatherspoons and my Turtle Doves. Those are really cool and baby shoes. And then the Off-Whites, I mean, I like a little color to them. I mean, I have some, I have a number of pairs. I have the UNC ones, and my heart always, I was born in North Carolina. I love that colorway and always have. But the Serena Williams, both the Blazer and the Air Max. Yeah. I mean, I don't even think they're going for terribly too much.
No, they're not.
But I just love that colorway.
Yeah.
And so those were a couple of mine. And I didn't get either one of them, so I'm kind of bummed about that. But there were some good ones. The Off-White with the Halloween colors, that was
the Blazers definitely got their proper respect and attention this year with the Off-White.
Yeah, definitely.
And it even, I think, spawned a couple other colorways and different treatments of that silhouette.
I agree because people weren't getting Blazers.
No.
Yeah. So I agree. That's a good point, Josh. The Nike, the Jordan 4 is my favorite Jordan model. Okay. And so the Travis 4s and a couple of local places. DTS, I forgot to mention them.
Another good one. Yes. Oaklawn?
Great guy. What?
Oaklawn?
Yeah. Yeah. And they hooked me up with that. The SBs, I've always been an SB fan. And so with the diamonds, oh my God. Like I have 3 pairs of the OG Tiffany diamond lows.
Those are great shoes.
And those are just made just with great leather, great materials. But the new versions that came out, I mean, each time they dropped a new colorway, I fell in love. I can't remember if I saw the black or the white one first, but the black one was just black with white stitching. I mean, I love that. I love that.
It was the
mix.
detail. It definitely was the detail. It was simple.
And the swoosh. Yeah. That was a little mix where you can take off the silver swoosh
that is pretty cool.
And have the Tiffany color underneath. So there's 2 big pickups I got. The purple Trav 4, and that was really something that cost a lot of money, but it wasn't my size and it wasn't for me to ever wear. But the Canaries I got and those are my size, and I think I might wear them because my wife actually helped pay for a lot of it. So I feel like less of a pain if I'm wearing them. And so those are probably 2 of my favorites. And then the last thing I'll say in the SBs is just these lobsters have me. Oh my gosh! I remember the red and blue and the yellow ones back in the day, and now with these purple ones, I just love purple suede. I mean, it is, you don't see it a lot. So with the purple Trav 4s, and then these purple lobsters are just beautiful. I got Prosper Skate Shop, and FA Skate Shop are 2 really good skate shops. Besides Uprise is a big
in the
one.
City,
But anyways, they hooked me up on a purple one, and then the other 2 I came out because I had to get my size, which was 12, 13. So, and then the Green Lobsters just came out. So maybe we'll show that one at the beginning of the next year, next time.
Absolutely. What was your top cop
Top cop for this year had to have been okay. This is a crazy one. So I mean, it wasn't that hyped, but the fact that they had a draw on it, I think I just spoke about. And it's recent. Was the Paul George, the PG PlayStations. So I got the gray pair. Of course, anything on Sneakers app when you're doing the draw on there, if you win it, it's just that, oh wow, I won something. Even though you really didn't win anything, you just basically have an opportunity to purchase
them.
But of course, we get crazy and excited about it because I mean, who
winning a draw on the Sneakers app is
it's just
like,
it's
like seeing a unicorn.
It is. So I've only been lucky. I think the Atmos Safari pack, I got those. But other than that, nothing else. So the one thing I really, really enjoyed about this pair of shoes is the fact that it was under $150, first of all, for a pair of Nikes.
Yeah.
That was in a draw. And also the fact that the tongues light up. So, it's got the PlayStation symbol on one side. I gotta bring those in. Those. The tongues light up, and it's like the little things.
Cool. Yeah. I love the little details on shoes.
Yeah, I mean with the with the button symbols and stuff like that all over the straps, like it was all the little things on there. The price point on it, the fact that it glows. I mean, for me it was a personal like. I smiled when I copped that one. With the other ones I'm like, oh sweet. It was more of like almost like, hey, it's a business investment or it's going to be like a hype thing that I'm going to wear to the next event. But for these, it was almost like a personal happiness. It was like, wow, these are really cool. Mm-hmm. They're fun. I've got 2 young kids. They like that the tongues light up. So I wear them in the house and they're just like, Daddy, they're glowing. I'm like, yeah, I know. They're glowing like kids' shoes, but their soles glow.
Right, like those kids where you stomp on them and like the
I don't feel like a small child. I feel like an adult wearing glowing shoes. So for me, that was probably, my top cop for this year. I mean, amongst a handful of other retros that, I just kind of, in the collection. It was almost like they were things I wanted to get, but nothing that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got it. The lobsters are amazing. I wasn't able to get those. I got those for resale.
My top cop was the Tinker 3s.
Those were nice.
I really liked those. They were just a very clean colorway. The story behind it, which I'm not going to get into here, but like the story behind it with Tinker is interesting. I always like a shoe with a story behind it. Mm-hmm. And the 3 silhouette got a lot of respect this year, a lot of coverage, and I thought the Tinker was definitely my most appreciated cop of the year. So like, what's like one or two couple predictions that you're thinking of, and then like what is maybe like a couple pairs of shoes that you've been seeing lately that you're really looking forward to?
Well, I'm thinking there's going to be more collabs with designers. Fear of God came out. It's so funny though. I like the Fear of God with the Nike silhouettes. The retro silhouettes are the ones that just kill it. And not just a Fear of God, like any designer, Off-White. Off-White does their own shoe. They have their own shoe. Exactly. They don't kill it. Yeah. They when they do the collabs with the Nike silhouettes that we're all used to seeing with the Jordan retros, and I like to see that. I really like stuff like that. Mixes it up a little bit than your typical. I love the Black Cement 3s. Also one of my favorite Jordan retros, but I like to see it mixed up with when they did one for Trav with the Trav Jordan 4 Blues and just stuff like that. So I see that happening more into 2019.
I'm predicting that SBs are going to continue their role or continue the run in 2019. Mm-hmm. I just feel like the blue lobsters, the green lobster, or the purple lobsters, I'm sorry, they kind of came out towards the end of the year. And I really think you're going to see more SBs, collaborations, concepts, whatever it might be. I think the SB silhouette's going to be pretty popular. And I think that, and you're already starting to see it, because actually one of the things I'm looking forward to is the new Pigeon by Jeff Staple.
Yes, good one.
That is probably
that's an exciting one,
like for now, that's like really what I'm looking forward to. And I think you'll see more of those types of people retroing their releases, so like, the lobsters have been around for a while and there's a huge story and appreciation for that. So they come up with the purples, now the greens, and then you're going to have Jeff Staple probably getting into the mix and doing his thing.
Real quickly, I agree with you 100% on the SBs. and I heard from one of the local shops that there's talk of a skunk low. So that would be amazing
that'd
if
be
that
pretty cool.
happens. So
Yeah.
anyways,
Yeah, I mean, there's so many colorways that are old, SB colorways. When more people start getting interested, when the kids start getting interested and they start buying them, I wouldn't be surprised to see skunks or any of those other ones. Real quick, I was a little bit disappointed we didn't really see any Christmas shoes this year.
Yeah, we didn't. You're right.
Like I remember back in the day, like years ago, you had at your SneakerCon convention, you had a huge Christmas display, and those were always cool. Like you only wear them like 1 month out of the year, really, but like they always even like the Kobe's and LeBrons, like they all had there was always these Christmas releases. I didn't see anything this year. I was kind of disappointed in that.
That's true.
Anyways, what about you?
It's funny that you mentioned that real quick. I noticed a spike in the November into December for last year's release of the Christmas ugly sweater dunks, which the reason I only checked is because I sold mine, because they had gone from like a moderate price, a little over retail that people could pick it up, but as soon as the holiday season hit and there wasn't anything released, then I noticed on StockX was where I saw it. There was a huge spike in there, like $50 to $80 above where it was sitting at, which was sitting at, I think the one I had seen had sold like $270 or $280, which was insane to me because initially they weren't really going that hot, but I was like, well, 'tis the season, and we didn't see anything being released. So I am kind of disappointed they didn't really release anything. Cause we're always looking for, I'm always looking forward to SBs, and I agree with you guys. I think SBs are back on the rise, and the one thing I love about SBs, and it's kind of how I got into sneakers, more into sneakers other than the just Jordan brand, was that SBs back in the day, there was a lot of fun, just either collaborations with shops, but also like collaborations in like just themes. And that was the biggest thing. If you're talking like something super extreme, you're talking about, Friday the 13th, the Freddy's, things like that. And it we saw a huge dip for several years where SBs were like, no one really cared for them. I think next year with the releases that were, with Diamond, with the Lobsters, and I know Staple had the black version below.
He came back with those,
So I think I'm and I guess this is me being hopeful as a fan, that it kind of becomes a slow rise up for 2019 where it's going to become more dominant in the shoe industry, or for collectors, or just for the majority of people that enjoy sneakers, not just guys that skate, because they were amazing. Like you can go through a catalog of just SBs and what type of SBs are out there. It's immense.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh,
it's incredible.
Crazy.
They have books. They have some
they
actually really good picture books and stuff out there that just completely focus on SBs. And those themes on especially the Dunk Highs, like the Ox, Paul. What the hell were those called? Who was that big guy? The lumberjack guy. Come on,
I know you're talking about.
Anyways,
I know you're talking about.
Those were freaking.
I can see
those
them.
were
Paul
awesome.
Bunyan?
Yeah. Paul Bunyan. Paul Bunyan, man. Those
Blue
were
Ox,
so freaking awesome. And then they had these pirate ones too, which were really cool.
They had a lot.
Themes on those are just crazy. So
I thought, and as an artist, as a creative, it's one of those things where like seeing that on shoes was like an amazing thing to me. Back in the day, and even till now. And as far as more predictions moving forward, I think this is me personally, I'm feeling that Yeezys are just kind of like, they slowed down a lot this last quarter, basically. I also saw last quarter drop in Human Races. Became, even with the BBC ones that came out, it was like, those were sitting for a little bit. There's other sites that still have them currently if you dig around. But I think Adidas with those particular styles aren't going to be as hype as they were the previous years. I think,
totally agree.
And I think it's going to be a swap out with the SBs coming up. Jordan Brand's always, for me, so it feels like it's always been consistent to an extent. Granted, they do release a lot sometimes, but I think that there's still a large popularity in it, regardless. Because it is, but you're talking about a brand that's built on decades. Not just kind of like, hey, we started something cool, and riding a trend.
Right.
But there's some Tinker 3s, the Black Cement Tinker 3s. I think it was for next year.
Yes, those
So
are.
yeah, I was just about to say
sick.
you're gonna. Yeah, I definitely need to have those.
Those are. Oh yeah, I
'cause I have the
definitely
white
need to have
pair.
those.
So I was like, I need to have the black
Fours.
pair.
I think fours are definitely going to have their time in the spotlight next year.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I'm starting to see. I can't even remember which colorways I'm starting to see, but I remember seeing some on Instagram.
Yeah.
Which would make sense because this was the year of the threes, or what was it, the 30th, 20th anniversary or something? I don't know. It was
30th, wasn't it?
30th.
30th.
Yeah.
So the fours, I think are coming up too.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be next year's gonna be good.
I think the Yeezy, like the V2s and like that kind of silhouette are definitely going away in popularity. I can definitely see that for sure. But I think they're really onto something with the 700s, and they're strong with the colorways. They keep coming out with more colorways in the 700s. So I think that Yeezy is still going to have something up its sleeve in terms of design, but it's not going to be anywhere near the hype when
it used to be.
Yeah. I totally agree. And the NMDs too, for sure.
Yeah.
Those are definitely going.
Like, and don't get me wrong, like Adidas with the NMDs just boost in general. Like, it's a very comfortable shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down a comfortable shoe. But, as far as like me saying how much I like a pair of shoes, so a pair of retro ones are not comfortable to walk in like all day long.
Right.
A pair of NMDs are amazing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's one of those things where like I would rather have the retros.
Well, it's because it's fashion too.
It
You're
is.
into
No, it's
fashion.
true. It's got to be painful, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be painful. It's going to look good. It's got to be painful.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, this year, the last quarter with, the re-release of the, I keep calling them cheeseburgers, but the neon yellow,
Oh,
the
frozen ones.
yeah, the Frozens. I was like, I actually liked the colorway, but I wasn't willing to drop the amount that was out there when they first released.
Right.
I was able to
Right.
get a pair, and I was like, I was content. I was happy because I mean, to be fair, Yeezys are a very comfortable shoe.
Yeah.
I know I said that off air earlier, but yeah, they're a very comfortable shoe. So I'm excited to get my statics. But it definitely is one of those things where for a comfortable shoe that that I'm gonna wear, as opposed to like collect per se, I think these are good. The only issue I have with like the 700s is the price point, $300.
Yeah, they are expensive. That's definitely going to be, but I mean, $220 for Yeezys.
No,
too.
I know. No, that's
the
true.
700s are definitely a little bit more expensive.
And I get where they're going with that because I know with Yeezy, Kanye, and Balenciaga's got their style of shoes very similar to it.
Yeah.
And Balenciagas are a pretty penny. I was in the store, I tried them on. They're okay.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah, they're just, and I was like, oh well, and that for me, price point wise, it made the 700s look way cheap. Like I was like,
Right.
oh, these are way cheaper. I'll just get
True.
$300 shoes. But at the same time, too, it's like,
I think somebody just did a Balenciaga Yeezy
Like-
hybrid.
Oh,
of
really?
Like the 500 or the 700 on top of the Balenciaga outsole or midsole. I feel like I saw that. And somebody did actually a pretty good job. But I mean, it's not my shoe, but
Yeah.
it looked pretty interesting.
yeah. I mean, it almost feels like it's almost like swapping out car parts to like two different cars that are pretty much the same. So yeah, that was kind of that was my only drawback with those at $300 price point.
Right.
Like 220 is pushing it.
Yes.
And I think like the generations now are looking at shoes at $100, saying those are cheap.
Well, let's just think about it this way. So if indeed we all seem to agree that SBs are going to have their time in the spotlight next year, SBs are cheap.
Yes.
So is that going to then like psychologically affect what people are willing to pay then for like Yeezys and other things? If the shoes that are going to be like, popular in 2019 are not that expensive retail. So I wonder if maybe that's going to have, like.
I don't know. I don't necessarily. I like SBs. You guys like SBs. I don't necessarily think that everyone that likes the Yeezys or the Jordans or like SBs. I mean, I think I've seen the camp out lines for SBs, and it's just not like a camp out line for the other
But
shoes.
I think that if marketing is done right and the people behind them, the influencers behind the shoes, it really just takes one person that like kids
To push it,
or this
yeah.
generation look up to or follow. And like skate culture is also starting to get like really big, and so I mean, you know, maybe Easy will come out with like a skate shoe. Who knows?
It's very possible, especially if they see the trend in that style or silhouette.
Didn't we just see a picture of him trying to do an ollie? There you go. Okay,
There
that's
you
my
go.
prediction.
That's your
Yeezy
prediction.
skate shoe, 2019. You're gonna see one. That's my prediction. Anyways,
That sounds pretty solid though. Like, you know, as far as a prediction, because I mean, just really quick, as far as the value of shoe. So you're talking, you know, under $100 or maybe $110 for a pair of SBs. Now you're looking at, like, I'm thinking on a business end now, as far as like a reseller. Now I know that my costs are going to be a lot lower, and to be honest, the prices for you know, are looking at 100% over, easy. You know, especially on the day of release or even like for pre-orders, things like that. So I think business-wise, people are going to be happy if SBs get back into popularity because there's going to be a bigger sale market in that respect. So it'll be interesting to see in 2019, like what's going to be hyped most. You know,
I'm really looking forward to it. So that about does it for this episode, guys. I think from all of us here on the Soul to Soul team, want to wish you all a happy New Year, happy holidays, and stay tuned. There's a lot more to come. All right, guys. Peace.
peace out.
Later.